Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Aaron from Sweetwater, and I'm here with Ben Adrian, who's the sound design manager for Line 6, and Rick Galliano, who's the senior director of product for Line 6. We're here today because we attended a open house celebrating the 10-year anniversary of the Helix, a cool product that's continued to grow over a decade. And while we were here, they surprised us with this. This is the Helix Stadium. Super exciting, does lots of cool things. Actually had a chance to play through it, was totally blown away. Nice. Super exciting. So I'm hoping you can tell me a little bit more about what makes it better, what makes it special, what makes it different.
For me, the biggest thing is the Agora amp modeling. We had always wanted to do more, I guess you would say, scientifically accurate things with our modeling. Our modeling process before, which is great and cool, was kind of a mimicry process. We had tube simulators, we had filters to do EQs, and we would measure amps, and then using the DSP tools, we would match it. And it worked really good. But now we are actually applying a much more scientific and mathematical approach where we have circuit models, we have analyzed a whole bunch of new tubes, captured a ton of data. The result, when you put it all together, impedance matching in between stages inside, totally new way of doing tube simulation. The playing experience and the tactile sensation, we think, has gotten much better. It's much more kind of enjoyable, and as a side benefit, it's actually faster to make models now.
There's a responsiveness and a feel thing. You know, it's the corny thing is how do you capture better feel? But there's something about the Agora engines that just, they feel like real amplifiers. It's amazing.
I remember back in the day, the early Pod and Johnson J-Station days.
Oh, sure.
The early modelers. Yeah. The real test of whether or not it was a great sounding or feeling piece was if you could roll the volume and clean it up. Well, we're so far past that now, right? Yeah. These modern modelers, the good ones, you can feel the sag, you can feel the quickness or the lack of quickness in an amp. You really play the amp more than play the guitar in a lot of cases now, and that's possible with these. That's definitely something I noticed even more so than the current Helix was really pronounced in this. You close your eyes and there's nothing artificial or simulated that you're noticing at all.
Yeah, in early Pod, I like to say it's kind of like an early computer animation film. You know, everything is a little bubbly and, you know, everything is exaggerated. So a clean amp, it's like, oh, we made it really clean. If you play an amp like a Vox, it's like, oh, there's that mid-range crunch. It wasn't as hyper accurate, but you knew what you were getting. And then as DSP got better, much like animation, started seeing individual hairs being animated. And now you see, like, you know, the latest animated film, you're like, I can't believe how good this looks and all the details and all the shadow and how everything just moves and feels real. That's kind of where the amp modeling is getting now, where we're kind of now getting down to the finest little details. Whether you like them or not, they are kind of in there. So not only do we want to leave them in there for realism for users, we also want you to be able to kind of easily tune them out to get a nice slick playing experience if that's what you want as well.
So like a caricature versus a portrait.
Exactly, yeah.
That's great.
You actually touched on another thing that I was really excited about, and that's the hype feature.
Yeah.
The way that it had been described when we were talking earlier was that if you know how an amp sounds, but you don't know how it feels, when you play it, it might not produce the same results as the last time you heard it played because you're not intimately familiar with its feel and how to react to it and how to play that amp.
Right.
Would it be fair to say that the hype knob kind of allows you to adjust that to taste for you, or how would you describe what that does?
Well, the hype knob has gone on a journey. The original idea that I had when I started doing it was what you would add to a guitar signal if you wanted to, like, say, sound good in a mix or through a PA. Because, you know, when you record a guitar, you EQ it, you might put a little compression on it at the end. You do some stuff to make it fit into a mix. And if you play our normal amp models as they are with no adornments, they sound like you just kind of mic'd up an amp and haven't done anything to it yet, which is what we wanted because we wanted people to shape it. Well, the hype knob is kind of started out as that idea where as you turn it up, it kind of makes it kind of behave a little bit more and kind of makes it more of like a mix-ready situation. And then it's kind of changed a bit since then because we're like, well, maybe we can also get it to take away some of the ugly artifacts of the amp when you turn it and adjust it. Maybe we can make the sound get a little bit tighter. So it's different for every model. It's usually a combination of maybe a little bit of compression, maybe a little bit of pre and post EQ, maybe a little bit of revoicing the amp models inside.
So mixing and unmixing the amp, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of a common thread between that, and we talked about focus mode a little bit earlier too. There's a common thread here of making the sound in your head easier to attain.
Yeah, that was the whole thing.
Even if you're not technically adept with understanding, you know, where to sweep a parametric EQ or how a compressor works or any of those things, or if you don't understand all of the parameters of a delay or a reverb, things like focus mode, which we had talked about earlier, allow you to kind of work with attributes and move things towards something that it makes sense to you in terms of just simple attributes. And the hype knob, that allows you to I call it mix and unmix the amp, but
Yeah.
bring it to how it would sit in a mix versus what bedroom settings sound like, everything in between. So anybody, whether they know how to record or not, can sound good in a band or on a recording. So what would you say your favorite feature about the Stadium is? I mean, we've talked about the new modeling engine. It sounds great. We've talked about some of the easy controls. What's the coolest thing to you about this?
Trying to narrow it down to one is tough. I like
You can just say yes. Yes.
All of it. I like the focus view because the idea of having the 5 different zones, right, that kind of educate a player. So if you're a beginner player, you don't know what knobs to turn, you don't know what turning up ripple is going to do to your sound. Simply moving through the focus view zones and watching the values change has this kind of educational component. I think that's important for guitar players, especially there's a generation of players that never played through a real amp, right?
Sure.
They've only ever lived in this universe. So to me, that's really important. The other thing, I really like the touch screen because the touch screen just makes it that much faster to get to where you want to go and get the sound you want in your head.
We're talking about how this is a product that opens doors for people who maybe aren't that educated in all the deep parameters of sounding good, recording well, but it also doesn't leave out the professional. So there's all sorts of deep modes in here. There's the ability to control your amp, external devices, and integrate it with a big, legit analog tube bass guitar rig as a complement rather than a replacement. We had talked a little bit about the command center inside of it, some of the showcase functions. 4-cable method works fine with it. And so I think the big takeaway here, and if you have something to add to this, that'd be awesome, is just that this is equally suited for a beginning guitarist who wants to evolve into something technical and the technical guitarist who needs to complement their existing rig.
Yes. When Helix came out 10 years ago, I'm a super nerdy technical person, and I'm also a guitar player. And I was like, oh, here's this blank canvas. And people can like put in their amp and they can arrange their effects and they can do everything they want and they'll be able to tweak their sound and do all this energy. That was kind of a mistake because I was looking at it in a very selfish mindset where it's like, here's how I would use it. And there's a whole world of guitar players who are expert level musicians, who are very talented, who know the gear inside out, but they still want to just hit a button and go.
Yep.
For me, I was like, oh, every musician's going to want to spend this time crafting their sound. So if you do want to go in there and just really dig in and make crazy complex presets where you do maybe EQ before and after your amp, you do like parallel paths where you mix in reverb, you can kind of design these entire sounds, you can still do that. But if you just want to be like, hey, I need these 3 sounds for a gig that I have in an hour because I'm a gigging musician, you can get that very quickly as well. And I think part of the process for me over the last 10 years, and this is speaking as me personally, as a person who works here and designs gear, is learning about all the different kinds of guitar players and trying to make something that's going to be appreciated and usable for the most technical people, for beginners, or for anywhere in between who just want either a quick experience as well. So it's really trying to hit all of that at once. And it really does, like this, you can just drag the thing around to get a sound if you want, or you can go back to the home view, have this crazy layout, and you can quickly just move stuff around, and everyone can go in and adjust the parameters. So it's designed to be either fast or intricate or even just kind of, go to the thing, drag your finger, get a sound you like, and then you're done.
Absolutely, just a huge achievement to be
Yes.
able to make something that is simultaneously simple enough for anybody to use and deep enough that nobody will ever exhaust it. So
Fantastic.
Helix Stadium, the XL version will be shipping fall. There is a smaller version of the Helix Stadium without the treble and a few less foot switch inputs and effects
treble
loops.
strips.
Yep.
Yeah.
That will be available shortly after in the winter. Guys, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for having
course.
us out to your house.
Yeah.
Again, I'm Aaron at Sweetwater. Thanks so much.